everybody, welcome back to another Sewcialites 3 video. Today we're working on block number 16, the Florabelle block. This is designed by Heather Briggs. This block looks like a little flower with the stem and leaves, is made up of square and a square and flying geese, all things we've done before. We're going to start by making our square and a square. You'll notice that each square and a square is going to have 3 background pieces and then 1 colored piece, which is our piece F, and then when we put the 4 of them together, we get our flower center. I have everything laid out for my 9-inch and my 6-inch block. For the 9-inch block, I'm going to change the coloring just a bit. I'm going to try making square D the same color as the flying geese. So when the block is complete, all of these colors are the same. I'm curious to see what that's going to look like. And then for my 6-inch block, I have all the colors different like it is right here. Let's go ahead and make the 9-inch one today. We're going to start out with a fabric E, and then you've got 3 fabric B's and 1 fabric F. I'm going to take one of the fabric B's, that in one corner, and if you want you can draw that line corner to corner. I'm going to use the diagonal seam tape, and then we want to take our fabric F and put it in the opposite corner, and we're going to do the same thing, so corner to corner. I'm going to take this over to the machine. We're back at the featherweight this week. Not only did I have my bobbin in backwards, I had this threaded wrong. I've got everything straightened out now. We've got our E, our B, and our F. We're going to sew corner to corner. Let's have a look, and please excuse the band-aid. I was out in the yard doing some fence repair, working with wire outside this morning. I scratched my hand. That looks good enough for me. And let's check this one. Pretty good. If you're satisfied with the way the triangles are, you know, it could have been a little bit better, but I'm going to go ahead and go with it. So I'm going to trim off the extra, so about a 1/4 inch away from that seam. Flip this out and press. That came out pretty good. We're going to do the other 2 corners, and they're both going to be the background fabrics. Let's have a look at these. Pretty good. And this one, that one's even better. I'm going to go ahead and trim those and press these and make the other 3. I've got all 4 of these made. They'll have 1 color in one corner and the other 3 are the background. I went ahead and measured them. There's a measurement on the instructions, so depending which size block you're making, you'll want to measure and make sure that it came out correct. Mine are pretty close to 3.5 inches square. They're not perfect, but they're going to be fine. You can do one of 2 things next. You can go ahead and put them together to make the flower center. I'm going to make the flying geese first because I have my presser foot with no guide on my machine. Then I'm going to put the guide on for piecing this together and building the block. So we need to make 2 flying geese. We'll need our fabric A's and our fabric C's. I've got my fabric A's and my fabric C's, making these just like we've made them before, 1 corner at a time, right sides together, corner to corner. You can draw a line on the back of your fabric C if you like. I'm going to go ahead and use the diagonal seam tape, so I need to make 2 of these. Let's go ahead and sew corner to corner on these, and I'll work on both of these at the same time since we only have to make 2. Let's flip the corners and check. That looks pretty good. That'll look fine when it's pressed. And let's flip the other one. That looks good as well. I'm going to go ahead and trim right here a 1/4 inch away from the line we just sewed and press both of these up. These came out good, so you've got 2 like this. Grab your next fabric C, right side down. We're going to be going corner to corner, and we have to make 2 of these. Let's have a look at these. Ooh, that one's a little crooked. Didn't do the best job on that one. I'm leaving it. We'll see how it comes out. I don't feel like picking it out today. And this one is also a little bit on the crooked side, but we'll work with it. I'm going to go ahead and trim these and press them, and then we'll lay out our block. Here's the 2 flying geese. They were a little bit crooked across the top. And when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit. Here's what I trimmed off. We want to go ahead and put our block together. We'll start with the center part. The flower part are square and a squares. These are going to lay out with the colored part pointing toward the center. This, like that, and like that. Sew 2 together and 2 together, and I would press 1 to one side and 1 to the other so the seams will nest, and then sew the center seam. I don't see pressing directions on the instructions. Up to you if you want to press open. I prefer to press so the seams will nest. I went ahead and put my guide foot on the machine. I'm going to start with my 2 top squares. Make sure they're both pointing toward the center. Right sides together, and you can watch as you sew across and look for that intersection like we've been doing to try and make sure that we don't run over our point, but you can only see one side. If you want, you can pin and put a pin right through there and make sure it matches on the other side. If you've watched some of Kimberly's videos on Fat Quarter Shop, she calls it poke a pin. I just do not feel like pinning today, so I'm going to sew and hope for the best. I'm going to do the bottom two, make sure my inside colors are matched up. Do the same thing, lay it down, try and line it up really well. I'm looking to see if they're overlapping, and I'm going to go ahead and sew that seam. Let's have a look. That looks really good on that side, and looks like a bullseye on the back side. I did great on that, so this one should look good. That does look good. A little bit off right there. Do you see how this doesn't match up exactly? I am okay with that. Let's look at this one. Pretty good. Let's have a look. How are my points looking in the center? Good. Again, not exact. If I took the time to pin, I probably could have gotten them close to exact. Since I'm at my machine, what I'm going to do is take this bottom one. Here's my seam. I'm going to flip it this way. I'm just going to finger press for now. And then this top one, here's the seam. I'm going to keep it that direction and finger press that, like that. Now my seams are going to nest. As you're putting this together, we've got the seam here, and then you've got a point here and a point here. You can try and make those match, and the same thing over here. You've got this point here and this point here. Again, you'll probably get better success if you pin. I'm probably going to go ahead and grab some pins and pin here, here, and here. Let's go ahead and pin this. We'll start with the center because that's the easiest part. The seam nests, that's lining up very nicely. I'm going to turn the light off on my featherweight. I think it's creating some feedback on the camera. And then let's look at the other 2 spots to pin. Just going to kind of roll it. See how you have the lines there, the dark red and the pink? Trying to keep them matched to the best that I can. Try and get those 2 little points here and here to match. Let's look here. That looks good. I'm going to hold that, grab a pin, pin that, and that. And then let's look here. Do the same thing, looking at it, matching it up, hold on to that, I'm going to pin that, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew that seam, and we'll see how I do. Alright, let's have a look. Open this up. That looks good to me. I need to go press this. There's a lot of bulk right here and right here. So I would say go ahead and press this one open, as much as I hate to. I think it's going to make the block lie flatter and make it it'll make it lie flatter and press nicer. So I would press that final seam there open. We're going to lay out our block. So this is going to go upper right, and then you've got a couple of flying geese and your fabric D. So here's your flying geese. It's going to go next to it right there. When you go to sew the flying geese to this part here, you can watch for your seam intersection right there for the threads and match that up to this seam right here. I'm going to go ahead and add a pin. And then on the bottom, I'm going to have this flying geese pointing up and the fabric D over here on the left. And I can see that that's a little bit crooked. I'm definitely going to want to pin that to make sure that I sew that correctly. We've got 2 things to sew. We've got our seam here with the flying geese, and then our fabric D to our other flying geese. Here's our 2 pieces. It tells us to press this out toward the flying geese. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm actually going to finger press it right here because we're just going to sew this seam, so I'm not too worried about that. And then this toward the flying geese, this direction. So I'll give this a finger press. And I'm definitely going to want to pin this. Add a pin here, add a pin here. Make sure this is straight. Pull that. Yep, nice and straight. I'm going to do that thing where I add a pin on the side. I did that before for one of the other blocks just to hold it in place. This is our final seam. So after you sew the final seam, it has us pressing down toward the bottom of the block. There's the pressing instructions right there, pressing down. So I'm going to sew this, press it, and we'll go over to the table and we'll measure it. My block is done. I really do like the way this looks with the same color for the flying geese and the corner piece. I made my 6-inch block with the different color in the corner. You'll get to see that in a moment. Let's measure this. This should be 9.5 inches square. I've got 9.5 right here to the outside of the square, and then I'm a little short here, and except for where it's short, that's pretty good. I can actually go ahead and clean this up a little bit. This one came out really good. Let's look at the 6-inch block. And just a reminder, I'm sewing with Little Sweetheart and Cloud 9 from Laundry Basket Quilts by Edita Sitar for the larger blocks, and the smaller blocks I'm sewing with Strawberry Lemonade by Sherri and Chelsi of Moda Fabrics. This one came out great. I was able to trim this and straighten the edges. It's a little bit shorter than 6.5, but again, that's what I expected. This is what it looks like with a different color in the corner. So here's what it looks like if you match all your colors, and then here's what it looks like when this color is different. Thank you for joining me for block number 16 of Sewcialites 3. If you have any comments or questions, leave them for me below. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends, and I will be back next week with block number 17. See you next time!